Red Riding Hood. You sure are looking good. You're everything that a big bad wolf could want. A lot of songs about wolves. There's that Hungry Like the Wolf, Werewolves of London, that Little Red Riding Hood one I was just singing. And that's 3 at least. So that's a lot of songs in my book. 3 songs on one topic, you know?
There's more than that, right?
I'm sure there is, yeah. But, like, there's Bark at the Moon. That's, the Ozzy Osbourne song. There's another one. Bark at the Moon.
Yep.
I don't know if that one's necessarily explicitly werewolf.
I mean, I feel like it is because, like, he's bark. I mean, I guess it could be like a dog too, but like he's on the cover as a werewolf.
He's horny. He's horny like a dog.
Yeah,
barking at the moon.
Bark at the moon. But werewolves are kind of dogs, and they are
werewolves
notorious.
Don't bark, but they don't bark at the moon.
I mean, they howl at it. You know, Ozzy's stupid. He doesn't know the difference in a howl and a bark.
I mean, yeah, that's.
He's on drugs 24/7. You know.
I'll tell you what, dude. If you look up the song, it's like, what does the song mean? So people are obviously like interested in that respect. They're like, oh my God, why is he barking at the moon? So maybe there is debate on if it is a werewolf song.
Howl
like,
by Florence and the Machine. There you go. That's a song, I guess. I have never heard it, but hey. Moon over Bourbon Street. Is that a fucking werewolf song?
Right, so listen to this. Screams break. This is from Bark at the Moon. Screams break the silence, waking from the dead of night. Vengeance is boiling. He's returned to kill the light.
Yeah, that sounds like a fucking werewolf. That don't sound like no damn dog to me.
Then he's found who he's looking for. Listen in awe, and you'll hear him bark at the moon.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Years spent in torment, buried in a nameless grave. Now he has risen. I mean, this sounds like a werewolf, dude.
I mean, honestly, it sounds more like a fucking vampire at this point.
I know, but it's werewolf, whatever. I mean,
he's dressed as a werewolf on the damn cover. He's fucking werewolf.
He's a fucking werewolf. He says he's a werewolf.
Yeah, he's a fucking werewolf. You know what I'm saying?
They're tied together though, because there's like shows and movies where it's like werewolves and they're fighting, and sometimes werewolves are subordinate to vampires, like they work for vampires and shit. So
yeah, you know, vampires and werewolves, man, they're enemies. That's kind of a weird development of the last like few years. Is like vampires and werewolves is like these foes through time and stuff. You know, like Twilight does that. The Underworld movies do that, and prior to that, I really don't remember there being like a big werewolf versus vampire thing. You know, they were kind of like 2 separate things that did their own thing. They didn't really give a fuck about each other.
Well, didn't they go against each other back in the day?
I thought they did, didn't they?
I mean, I didn't read anything about some kind of long-standing rivalry between vampires and werewolves. Both of them.
You weren't looking for that.
Well, we'll get into some of that shit, though. You know,
of course.
You know, when I was a kid, I think I preferred vampires, but at this point in my life, I think I prefer werewolves. I used to think werewolves were lame and vampires were like super cool, but I guess like pop culture has shifted and my opinion has shifted with it. Like vampires are now like fruity and like, you know, sparkly and shit, because like the last big vampire property was Twilight, because that kind of killed the vampire for a while. Like it'll come back. Like there'll be some new like, let's bring vampires back to their fucking roots kind of thing. That'll happen eventually, and it'll be like, oh shit!
I feel like vampires have been done
Nicolas
dirty
Cage
for a while.
is gonna save the vampire. You know, we saw those Dracula shots.
I think he's going to, man. Nicolas Cage can do it.
Dude, those Dracula shots made me tingle in all of the right.
You know how I know
places.
He better deliver on that, because everyone is hyped for it. Like literally, my mom was sending me pictures. Like, have you seen Nicolas Cage as Dracula? It's like, sweet.
Well, you know they're filming it right
in New Orleans.
That's what I'm saying. Perfect place. Dude, Nicolas Cage, he's having a comeback. I'm telling you. I got a good feeling about it, TJ.
Yeah.
Got a good fucking feeling.
Comeback. You have to have gone somewhere to have a comeback, Scotty. Nicolas Cage didn't go nowhere. He's been here the whole time.
I read an interview with Nicolas Cage, just another aside, that was like, he pretty much like, yeah, I did those things. He's like, I didn't phone it in, but I did do it for the money.
Okay, well, I feel like he didn't always phone it in, but there was definitely some movies where he phoned it right
like Mandy and shit. That was a really good movie.
Yeah, Mandy was not a phoned in thing, but like Left Behind, that was phoned in as fuck.
That was completely phoned in. Like, why would you not phone that in?
That wasn't even phoned in. That was like texted, okay? That was like Bruce Willis leveled, I don't give a fuck, you know?
Yeah, there's definitely a difference between a Nick Cage that's paying the bills and a Nick Cage that's genuinely interested in bringing some fucking zest to a performance and shit.
You know what it was too? This really kind of spoke volumes about it. Sorry to derail your episode, TJ, but Nicolas Cage is a pretty interesting guy. Apparently, he was taking care of his like mother for years, but like you know, I guess it was kind of like it was like a very time-consuming sort of thing in his life, where it was like he felt like, oh shit, I got to support my mom the best I can because he's a rich guy. He's like, well, I'm gonna put her in the best places, so he's paying like 20 or 30 grand a month to take care of his mom, kind of thing.
While he's trying to fucking dig himself out of a financial hole.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, and he was in a huge financial hole. So yeah, I mean, probably.
I mean, maybe he should have started like a trust fund for his mother instead of buying Tyrannosaurus skulls.
Probably.
Shit.
Did you hear about that fucking?
He's definitely liable for the shit that happened.
He got fucked over on that Tyrannosaurus skull too, because he didn't even get to keep it. He had to like give it back because it wasn't even theirs to sell. But then, like they're like, yeah, this is actually they can't sell this. We need this back. And he's like, oh, here you go. Do I get my money back? They're like, no, you don't. It's like what?
This belongs to the people of Thailand or some shit.
But the people who sold it to me are going to jail though, right? No. you're the loser here. They get to keep your money. We get to keep the dinosaur skull. You get to be bankrupt. It's like, what?
Have fun.
Damn it. Don't fucking spend your money. Dude, I don't know what these guys, they get to this point where they just think that their money is infinite, and they're just like, infinite money. I've unlocked the cheat code for infinite money. Johnny Depp, same way. Just like, yes, money forever. Anyway, I'm not here to talk about those Hollywood legends. We're here to talk about... stories of humans changing into wolves. Yes. What's wrong, Paul? What are you doing? You having a good time? You're gonna set your hair on fire.
Your howl.
What?
It was an earnest howl. It got me in the gut, man. It doubled me over.
There you go. Well, that's because I'm a werewolf. That's why I'm doing this episode. So the earliest known example of a human being transforming into a werewolf in like any literature, legend, or whatever is the Epic of Gilgamesh from 2100 BCE. So that's like 4,000 plus years ago.
Man, that fucking the rind of Dildamesh, dude.
Oh yeah, his rind is powerful,
dude.
Dildomesh.
Yeah, Dildamesh.
Dildamesh.
Oh my God, what is this furriness? Get rid of it. That's furry art. That has no place in an ancient.
Well, this discussion. Is actually, as you can see, he's like dressed like a shepherd. So it actually is pretty related because in the poem there was a shepherd who was extremely devoted to the goddess Ishtar, right? And so he presented numerous offerings to... He's basically obsessed with Ishtar. He's going to her shrine every fucking day. Oh, another offering for Ishtar. He's being like a little like simp to Ishtar, right?
Oh, God, Ishtar, please.
Ishtar! I love you, Ishtar!
Please, Ishtar, will I ever get something back from this?
So Ishtar...
He's getting kind of parasocial with Ishtar, is what
right.
you're saying?
He's getting real parasocial, and he's like... Ishtar, pick me. So Ishtar gets fucking sick. Ishtar basically gets bored with his ass. And she's just like, oh my God, this guy is a fucking loser. So one day she finally fucking has it with this fucking simp. And she's just like, I'm going to turn him into a wolf. And she turned him into a wolf. And he was hunted by his fellow herdsmen. And his own dogs ended up tearing him apart.
Cool.
So don't fucking simp to Ishtar because she ain't impressed, all right? That's the fucking lesson to be learned there. So this guy right here, this is the Greek historian Herodotus. He described a people called the Neuri, who were a nomadic tribe of magical men who would change into wolves for days of the year. Now, it was kind of said that, like, maybe these dudes just, like, wore, like, wolf pelts and stuff, and Herodotus was kind of a dipshit. Was like, oh, they're turning into wolves, because he didn't understand the concept of, like, clothes. I don't know.
I mean, probably because of the fact that, like, it's history, dude.
But you know how these ancient historians were? They were just like, what can I fucking do to sell scrolls, you know?
Man, I'm related to every goddamn ancient Greek philosopher that ever fucking lived, dude.
Especially up here in the brow, you could totally see it in the brow because you got that
look at
same
the
kind of furrows,
brow,
man.
and look at the nose too. Look at the width of the nose.
Yeah, do the little head tilt.
Let me see. It's kind of hard because I'm backwards on the thing. Let's see.
That's fine. You're not.
Herodotus was definitely laying the hot sauce on. I mean, that's what it is, TJ. It's like Paul's ancestor, like 2,000
You had it right the
years
first
ago,
time.
was
The other
like,
way was good.
I'll look at some weed because I don't have a book, so I'll just look at some weed.
yeah, look at it.
Like I'm pondering the weed.
I love it.
Yep.
It works.
I am every philosopher.
Paul is every philosopher. Well, he was actually a
Giga
scholar.
philosopher.
I guess at the point where you're starting to make up like werewolves and stuff, you're more of a philosopher than a historian, right?
Either that or you're just like a writer of fables.
All right, so let's get into some weird shit, huh? You guys like weird shit? I kind of do.
I mean, depends on the type of weird, to be honest with you. If you're genuinely asking the question, if that was just a rhetorical question, blow on by.
No, I'm serious. I'd like to know a real answer. That's fine. But when history and mythology get all entangled, as they really like we see on this show that they often kind of do. It's kind of hard to separate not just fact from fiction, but like myth from other version of myth. And in some of these stories, there's like literally like 20 versions of the fucking story. You know what I mean? With very different fucking outcomes and like, because it's like they spread around and region by region, everyone puts their own spin on it. And
well, whatever culture it is might have different lessons to be taken from the story too. So it's like this happens.
They might find maybe something in their culture or their life makes them sympathize differently with this character or that character. Or they got different, slightly different moral values, so they tweak the story to fit more of their shit.
Exactly.
But so in his, anyway, I just want to say like I've tried to like parse through and like kind of go down like the middle path of like. What generally seems to be accepted, but like there's a lot of fucking versions of these stories that are very different. But anyway, that fucking cop-out being said, there is a Greek region, or there was a region of ancient Greece called Arcadia, right?
Right.
And it was like they worshipped Zeus, okay?
Smart.
But they didn't worship Zeus as we think of Zeus. They worshipped Zeus as a being called Lycaos, which literally translates to Wolf Zeus. So this is Wolf Zeus, or wait, no, this is Lycaon. We'll learn about him later. They don't actually have any depictions of Wolf Zeus, but this is Wolf Zeus is basically like Zeus, but a furry. He's like a wolf furry, right?
I mean, he's Zeus, right? He can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yeah, he's Zeus, but he's like a wolf. And according to them,
isn't one of the things that Zeus can do like he can appear like any animal or person that he wants?
But I guess in their version, like the default Zeus is Wolf Zeus.
So when he's like just chilling and he's just himself, he's a wolf.
He's not like the bearded guy you're used to. He's like a wolf or a wolf.
I mean, that makes sense.
Some kind of wolf creature.
I mean, it's gonna be stale to be just Zeus. It's like, okay, for this culture, I'm gonna appear as a fucking werewolf. Why not? It's Zeus. He can do what the fuck he wants.
So there was a mountain in the region of Arcadia called Mount Lycaon, which means Wolf Mountain. All these likes are gonna they all mean wolf. And basically, people in this region believe that's where Zeus was born, and he was born there, and he was raised by nymphs, and has some kind of connection to wolves. I don't really understand the wolf connection. You'd think he'd be raised by wolves instead of nymphs, but whatever. So there was an annual festival that was held on this mountain, not just in mythology. There was there was an actual festival they would hold on this mountain. Now it's not much known about it. It was called Lycaia. The exact date that it was held isn't known, or even if it recurred on like the same date every year. But it was probably held sometime around May. And it's really not super known what the fuck happened at this festival because the details of it were kind of shrouded in secrecy. But a few things are known. So it was a rite of passage for, men of the region, meaning, it involved like you're a adolescent boy who's basically, you're approaching the point where you're ready to be seen as a man, right? So you go there, you do this ritual, and, you've done the ritual, you're a man now. So the ritual performed there involved cannibalism or the threat of cannibalism or symbolic cannibalism. So there was like something involving cannibalism, not very clear what happened. It's not sure if they actually engaged in cannibalism on the mountain or if there was just like this threat of like, if you don't do the ritual, you're gonna be eaten, or if there was like some sort of symbolic ritualistic cannibalism like there is in like Catholicism. But something involving cannibalism went on. And it involved transforming into wolves. Probably not really, but there's like a story about you're going to transform into a wolf, or we're all going to transform into wolves, or something with wolves and transforming.
So these are the proto furries, total degenerates.
Yeah, they all met on the mountain. It's like, as our rite of passage, we must pretend to be wolves and eat each other and fuck or whatever the fuck is going on. Something's fucking happening on this mountain. Who knows? Let your imagination run wild. You can figure it out for yourself. But
man, this mountain sounds pretty fucking hot.
One idea of the festival is that basically a bit of human meat was mixed in with some animal meat, and everyone had to eat some of the meat, right? And if you were the unlucky dude who got the human chunk, you would turn into a wolf for 9 years.
What is this, man? That is like the fucking lamest shit. They're sneaking the fucking human meat on you, and you got to fucking
basically there's a big. I mean, this is not. So it's not really known if this is actually what was done. This is just someone's fucking deconstruction based on like some context clues and shit. But basically, the idea is big old banquet of meat, right? But mixed in with the normal meats is a little tiny bit of human meat, and if you happen to be the unlucky son of a bitch that eats that human meat, you turn into a wolf for 9 years. And if you eat human meat at any point again in those 9 years as a wolf, you stay a wolf forever. So I don't know.
You're fucked. You're fucked, dude.
Yeah. It's one of those kind of deals. You know what I mean? One of them.
Why would they put the human meat in to begin with, though?
Well, they did it to kind of pay some kind of weird homage to this story, right? That is kind of like the foundational sort of myth of the region of Arcadia. So it may be based around the myth of King Lycaon.
Cool name.
Yes.
Sounds like a video game boss or something.
I mean,
he probably
would
must
be.
stop the evil King Lycaon from destroying Sosaria.
Well, he actually founded a city called Lycosura. So pretty close.
Oh, I like it.
I think we've actually talked about this story on the show before, though I don't really recall the episode or the context, but there's many different versions of the story. I'm just going to go with the one that seems the most common. So basically...
The Wikipedia entry version?
Well, there's actually several even there, but...
No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I was
a
Wikipedia the show.
Oh, yeah. We're the meme, right. So basically Zeus is up on Mount Olympus, right? And he's like, he's a total fucking Chad like Zeus is. And so word comes up to Zeus that, some bullshit's going down in the mortal world, right? Right. Normally, he's not going to pay much mind to that kind of bullshit, but he's hearing some really fucked up reports about King Lycaon, right? And his 50 sons. He's basically hearing King Lycaon and his 50 sons are all like total pieces of shit. Just like really abusive, really horrible, treat their subjects like total shit.
I mean, you think with 50 sons, one of them would be fucking halfway decent, right?
Well, maybe one was. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. But keep in mind, Zeus is the kind of motherfucker, he will like literally turn into a swan and rape you. So like whatever Zeus is hearing, if he's scandalized by it, it's pretty fucked up shit, right? Because like literally, if you go to like, there's an entire Wikipedia article, speaking of Wikipedia, the show, that's like on just like rapes in Greek mythology, and it's just like a big list of like this Herodotus raped Persephone, just this giant list of all the fucking rapes that are in Greek mythology, and like half of them are at Zeus. So this dude's like a fucking mass raping piece of shit, right? Now typically it's not like violent rape, it's like he fucking, when their husband's gone, he fucking takes the husband's form and then goes in there like, hey baby, how about some sex, huh? And then
they also did that in Excalibur, remember that?
Right. Yeah.
But that's the basis for it, I'm sure.
And then he fucks him, and then, next thing you know, he's the husband comes back again. And he's like, what the hell's going on here? And he's like, what, we just fucked. It's like, that wasn't me. Oh, God damn it, Zeus, you son of a bitch. You got us again.
I mean, you got to give it to Zeus. I mean, he gets away with it. Like most people, if you do rape, you get canceled, but it's Zeus. You can't even what can you do? It's Zeus. You can't stop him.
We're canceling Zeus. He just throws a lightning bolt at you. You can't fucking stop him.
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to cancel that guy. He's going to kill me if I fuck
But anyway, Yeah, I mean, the point is that Zeus is a fucking rapist. So, like, if he's scandalized by what he's hearing, obviously it's gonna be pretty fucking bad, right?
Yeah, you're fucking up.
But Zeus is, he's not just gonna believe the fucking rumors and shit. He wants to he decides he's gonna go down to the mortal world, check this shit out for himself. Because he's not just gonna, he knows haters gonna hate and shit. Maybe fucking King Lycaon's a cool dude, and he just fucking got some fucking, bitch boy upset. Oh, fucking King Lycaon's a douche, bro.
Nah. Lycaon stepped out of fucking bounds, dude. See, this is where Zeus needs to just throw the lightning bolt and be done with it. Because I can almost guarantee, I don't know, but I can almost guarantee some furry shit's going to be going on down there that needs to be taken care of.
Zeus has to investigate, man. It's like a crime movie. Zeus ain't just going to be like, yeah, you know what, I'm going to kill him. He could smite him. Of course, he has the ability, but it's Zeus. He wants to be fair. Let me go just check things out, see what's going on.
Zeus goes down to the mortal world, makes one of his little visits, and he goes to King Lycaon in his palace. And at first, shit seems cool. Lycaon's like super respectful, invites Zeus to this feast. And of course, Zeus is like, fuck yeah, I'll eat. Zeus is a hungry man. But meanwhile, Lycaon is actually super skeptical that this dude who shows up at his palace, I am Zeus. Lycaon's like, is he though? So Lycaon's like, how am I going to test this dude's divinity? I got to figure out some kind of test to make sure this is really Zeus.
And this is always a bad idea.
Yeah, especially the way, listen to his stupid fucking, it's got to be the dumbest plan ever. It's it's super shitty. He's like, well, I got 50 sons, so I know, I'll slaughter my youngest son, Nicomas, right? And feed him to Zeus, right? And if Zeus doesn't notice he's eating human, then obviously it's not the real Zeus.
Why not just ask him to throw a lightning bolt or something?
I don't know. But also if it is the real Zeus and he knows that it's human, he's going to be fucking pissed. You know that. So it's like your plan is either prove it's not Zeus or get Zeus massively fucking pissed off at you.
Or offend Zeus.
Not a great fucking plan, right?
No, terrible plan.
So anyway, Zeus is sitting at the banquet table, right? And he's like, oh yeah, this is all cool and shit. What the fuck is this? This isn't the right fucking image. Where the fuck's the good one? All right, hold on.
Error.
We're sorry. TJ has committed another error. Yeah. This is error 83.
I don't have the fucking picture I wanted, but whatever.
Errors
so anyway, Zeus is sitting at the banquet table, right? And he's thinking to himself,
I'm sorry, I can't imagine it.
Sorry. Well, just imagine this guy sitting at a fucking banquet table.
Well, there's an image. I want to see a banquet table of Zeus sitting there, TJ. This is bullshit, man.
All right, fine.
Massive error.
Did you think I'm gonna let these TJ? These are pain.
Fine, I'm pulling the fuck. I'm going to find the fucking image.
You don't think they deserve to see the image of Zeus?
Okay, I'm fucking doing it. Okay.
Thank you,
Piece
man.
of shit, bro. Open image, a new tab. Here you go. All right, I found the fucking image. Here you go. Here it is.
All right, can I see the image now?
Yep, there you go.
Thank you.
There you fucking go, bitch.
See, that's awesome. That's fucking worth it.
Okay.
You wanted to fucking deprive people of this, TJ?
Sorry.
Dude, that's fucking amazing. Look at that shit.
So anyway, Zeus is sitting at this banquet table. And he's thinking to himself, the rumors about King Lycaon, that was just a bunch of fucking booty chatter from a bunch of haters, right?
It's the worst shit ever. It's all like, you know what? It was a bunch of bullshit. I'm going to give this guy all kinds of shit. I'm Zeus. I can fucking give all kinds of fucking
so Zeus was pretty much determined, this guy is actually all right. But then the server shows up and slaps some suspicious ass looking meat in front of Zeus. And, Zeus takes one look at this shit and he's like, this dude cooked his son. That's fucked up. So immediately he knows what's up. Motherfucker's trying to serve him human. He's like, that is not, in the words of every Will Smith performance in the 90s and about every Will Smith performance in the 2000s, oh, hell no. That ain't fucking what's going on right here. So Zeus flips this motherfucking table, and you see this little chicken shit table here in this picture because probably the artist didn't feel like painting 100 people at a fucking banquet table. But in the story, the banquet table is this huge, gigantic table that no man could fucking turn over, right? So Zeus upends the fucking table, and he just starts wasting motherfuckers. All of Lycaon's other sons are there. Zeus is killing every motherfucking one of them. So the 49 remaining sons this motherfucker had, Zeus is fucking massacring those fuckers, right? And he looks at Lycaon and he's like, Lycaon, you a piece of shit. Boom, I turn you into a wolf, bitch. And, Lycaon's run out of town as this fucking wolf creature and shit. And
seems like a pretty cool way of punishing him rather than like killing him like he did a bunch of the people that happen to be there.
Now, in some versions of the story, Lycaon escapes and then locks himself in a cabin somewhere way out in the woods, and then he slowly turns into a wolf because of Zeus's curse. And then
I don't know. How do you escape from Zeus though?
Yeah, that makes no sense.
You don't miss the.
I mean, obviously Zeus let him escape. I mean, that's the only way you can look at it. Like he wants him to suffer.
I'm lost without an image. You bastards, man. So anyway, that's some Greek shit, and kind of ties Zeus to the whole werewolf thing. The Middle Ages, though, is when the werewolf shit really started to take off big time.
Dude, that fucking werewolf is like, he's getting it.
Because, you look at Greek mythology and, the old, ancient myths about fucking humans transforming into wolves. They're not really, they're, weird exceptions. Like, a god has cursed you to turn into a wolf. That's just but, by the time the Middle Ages rolled around, pretty much everyone in Europe believed in werewolves, okay? Pretty much everyone. I mean, there were laws on the books that dealt with, don't turn into a werewolf or you shall have to pay 50 shillings. There's, literally, laws on the books dealing with lycanthropy, okay? So
where does this start, though? From what font does the werewolf fear come? That's what I want to know.
Is it like Christianity? Is it the Christianization of the werewolf? Is that what we're talking about here?
I mean,
there's not a mention of werewolves or lycanthropy or something in the Bible unless I've missed it.
No, there's really not. But so we think of werewolves now as kind of their own category of being. But werewolves back then were kind of just one of many different sort of shapeshifters. So if you look at the history of the shapeshifter overall, it's one of the oldest ancient sort of myths. The people believing in shapeshifters, and turning into a wolf was just one thing a shapeshifter might do.
It's shared across cultures too.
Right. It's very culturally, it's because the idea of transforming yourself into something else is kind of a fascinating notion. And
the Greeks, all the gods would turn into different animals and appear as different animals.
Right.
And
so wolf just kind of
humans had that ability too. The fucking ancient Egyptians believed that shit. Of course, the Toltec and Olmec and Maya, and these all had their versions of it.
These people in Middle Eastern Europe, Middle Ages Europe are, they're plagued with wolves. Wolves are they're farmers by trade. Wolves are eating their chickens. Wolves are fucking killing their livestock, their sheep and stuff. So there's a general antagonism between wolves and humans because they're the secondary, they were the apex predator before we came along and industrialized and shit, or even just started to, transform the land and stuff. And so, there was kind of a battle between wolves and humans for territory and resources. And, the wolves were a pretty fucking fierce opponent. I guess it probably got to the point where people were like, this can't just be an animal. These are people turning into this or something. Dude,
that sounds like me with my fucking forest type movies, dude. That sounds like a badass movie, done in The Witch, in the style of The Witch, but it's just a pack of fucking insanely intelligent wolves that everybody believes are werewolves.
Yeah, you could do it almost Jaws style. That'd be fucking crazy. But these wolves were not we typically, when we think of werewolves now, think of them as victims of some sort of horrible curse, right? They've been cursed or they've been bit by a wolf or whatever. But a lot of these people who were suspected to be werewolves back in the day were more willingly transforming themselves into werewolves for fun. Sure. Or because there's some sort of enjoyment to being a wolf. So, like I said, belief in transformations of this kind were pretty prevalent at the time. It was believed women, who were witches could turn into cats or snakes or, whatever.
So in a roundabout way, you kind of just answered Scott, my question and Scotty's from earlier is where did was it a Christian thing? And the answer is kind of yes.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because Christianity has spawned so much fear of magic and stuff. And there were probably stories from pagan civilizations and shit handed down about people turning themselves into wolves and shit.
Right.
It became a big scapegoat in medieval times, probably for just people preying on people. Or just wild animals preying on people. You know what I mean? This must be a werewolf.
Yeah, and like a lot of times, if someone was so, a lot of wolf attacks were attributed to werewolves, and a lot of times when someone murdered somebody, it was blamed on, oh, this crime is too gruesome. This had to be a werewolf, you know?
It's a way for society to deal with its problems in a way where it's like, oh, people should be fearful. It's like everything's really unsafe. It's like, no, there's these mythical beings that can just come kill you.
Human beings at any point. If you look at human society at any point in history, there's pretty much always some kind of monster, right? Like even today, there's like a lot of people who are like, you know, satanic interdimensional fucking aliens that control everything, or
they don't. Some people just have because the same shit is happening now. We've talked about it, how like people will like these serial killers or mass murderers or mass shooters will come up, and people will monsterize them to the exclusion of trying to understand anything about them.
Yeah.
And so it's the same shit. It's a way of pointing at them and going like, they're not like me.
Oh yeah. That's totally unlike a human being. They're like some other thing that's a monster of some kind. Yeah. That's total bullshit.
Why does it have a lion tail? Dude, that's back in the medieval times, taxonomy wasn't a thing yet, and so like what a wolf actually looked like was often or different types of animals. You like if you've ever seen a medieval elephant, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I mean, like most of these guys, like they did like. These artists were drawing this shit based on like descriptions being given to them by other people.
It was, it was largely open to interpretation,
right? Like this artist probably never saw eyes on a fucking wolf. You couldn't just open Wikipedia and fucking see a fucking wolf, you know? Like,
well, think about taxidermy.
Not up close, you know.
Think about taxidermy. That because if you do like realistic taxidermy, that really shows you what these animals look like in life. But that didn't really exist then. It was
yeah.
Taxonomical drawings came even before that, and nobody had done that. Nobody had like made a central kind of work that you could go, oh, this is what an elephant looks like.
But even if they had, I mean, like you gotta remember, like you don't have a printing press then. You can't just like easily go and fucking find a copy of that shit, even if you are an artist,
right?
You know, so there's like a lot of fucking there's a lot of problems with that. But anyway, there's a few ways to become a werewolf. Okay, so you can remove all your clothes and put on a belt made of wolf skin. Seems pretty easy, really. Like, that's all you gotta do, just fucking get naked and put on a wolf belt.
Dude, I would look ridiculous naked with a belt on, man.
Well, yeah, but like then you become a wolf, so it's fine.
How long?
I don't know. That was I'm confused on that point, actually.
See, dude, this one sounds sus to me, because if I gotta stand there looking like a fucking moron for like an hour, hell no. Give me another way.
Okay.
That's another way I can do it.
So another way you could do it is, if this alone, you can use a potion or a magic salve.
Oh, fuck yeah!
You can rub that shit on your skin, and then you become a wolf.
Yeah,
that's it.
Yep.
Well, I like potions and magic salves and shit because they come from like a witch. What? Doctor takes a long time to get that voodoo MD. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you got to fucking go through a voodoo medical school and everything.
Yeah. Study under another witch doctor / faith healer /
yeah, for 8 years, you know.
Person.
It's a long process, so you know they're well vetted by the time they get to their degree in witch doctory. So you can drink rainwater out of an animal's footprint. Apparently that'll do it.
That's the simplest one.
Yeah, you don't even need a potion. You just fucking, hey, there's an animal footprint, just wait for some rain.
And it's any animal will turn you into a werewolf, not a werecat, werebat.
Yeah, you don't need it. It'll be any footprint. It doesn't have to be a wolf print. It could be just
any
footprint.
I could have a dinosaur step in the mud and then slurp some rainwater out of it, and I'm going to become a wolf.
I guess so. So in Sweden, there's actually a specially brewed beer that'll transform you into a werewolf. So if you want to get a little drunk and become a werewolf, you know.
Those Swedes would all be werewolves if that was true.
That's true. In Russia, there's an incantation you do, like, I don't know, bombadis, blabbity, goobity ba, you know, and you turn into a wolf. Sound a little Scottish there at times, but yeah.
Scottish.
So this is the most specific one. This is the one I don't think any of that shit I just told you works. I think this is the one that actually works because it's too specific to be made up. Okay. So in Italy, France, and Germany, it was said that a man or a woman could turn into a werewolf if it had to be. Here's the criteria. Okay, it has to be a summer night.
All right,
okay? It's got to be in the summer. It has to be either a Wednesday or a Friday. Okay.
Okay.
And the moon has to be full.
fuck. Okay.
And you have to sleep outside with the moonlight touching your face. Okay? You got to find those exact criteria. So there's 4 things right there. Has to be summer. Has to be Wednesday or Friday night. Has to be a full moon. And the moonlight has to touch your face all night. And then you'll become a fucking werewolf. Okay?
Sounds pretty difficult, dude, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, see that they make it a little harder in those fucking cultures. It's not just, I wore a wolf belt. Ooh, you know?
I know, dude, 'cause I know me. Like, I'd forget. I'd be like, oh, shit, was Wednesday? Then I go out there Thursday or some shit, and then I'm a human. I wake up, I'm like, oh, fuck, dude, I'm not a werewolf.
I'm still going to witch doctor for the potion.
That makes sense.
Personally.
You can also become a werewolf by simply making a pact with the devil. A lot of people like to do that, you know?
Oh, really? That's it?
Yeah, but that's like... You know how those work out, though. Like, I gotta be honest with you. That whole pact with the devil thing, I mean, fine, do what you want to do, but, like, don't be fucking come crying to me when you get screwed up.
Paul, you just believe the media and shit. You believe movies.
Yeah, you believe all this media hype about the devil.
The devil's a great guy.
He's actually
I've never made a pact with the devil.
I'm just saying, you know.
Well, dude,
so
when
wait,
I was
so you're telling me you made a pact with the devil and you were unsatisfied with the results of that pact?
I was not unsatisfied with the direct result of the pact, but the price. The price, TJ.
The price.
You gotta pay. I mean, yeah. Well, look, you gotta pay special attention.
A terrible price, Paul. A terrible price.
You gotta pay special attention to that price. Okay.
The price.
You can't be cavalier when Satan tells you the price, because I mean, like the price can be a little steep sometimes with Satan. I will admit.
I mean, Satan is that's the bougie option. I'm just warning everybody, man. Whatever you got, he like, and you treasure most, he's gonna have. Whether you think you're giving it to him or not, he's gonna have it.
That's true. But
so
you know what?
better just
if you really want, I'm just
go
saying,
to your local witch doctor. Support your local medicine person.
I mean, look, all I'm saying is, if you go to Satan and tell me, Satan, make me a werewolf, and you go to your local witch doctor and say, witch doctor, make me a werewolf, both will turn you on a werewolf. The witch doctor will be cheaper, but you're going to be an inferior werewolf to that Satan werewolf.
I don't think so.
Look, Satan does not make shoddy werewolves. That's all I'm saying, you know?
Because those witch doctors are empowered by Satan. They're people that, like, it's like going to a middleman, basically. It's like, I don't want to risk my own soul, so I went to this witch doctor who wanted to be like super, because you know they're all like in leagues with the devil.
They're in leagues. Yeah, of course.
So there you go. Right.
You just want that 1 degree. You just want that little. I need a middleman between me and Satan. I don't necessarily want to deal directly with Satan, but the problem is, you know, they take a little cut for themselves, right? And then the next thing you know, you're a shoddy half-ass werewolf, you know, and you're like, ah woo, and you're howling wrong and shit. It's like,
You got a fucking lion tail and shit, dude. You got the nose of a duck or something. I mean, it's not gonna work out, man.
Yeah,
I mean, you gotta vet your medicine, man. You can't go to no quack.
I mean,
you know.
I would say, at the very least, if you're gonna go to a witch doctor, be like, yeah, I want to be. You need to see, like, can I meet some examples of like previous people you've done lycanthropy with and stuff?
I don't even need that. I need to meet the witch doctor one time, and if I pull up and it's an old withered man or woman with stringy, long, patchy white hair, and all I got to look at is the eyes. If they're milk white, you know what I mean? Then I know I've reached the right person. And if they've got like a collection of like bones and artifacts that they're like humming and throwing into a fire and doing things with, I'm like, okay, all right.
And they got to know shit. Right. They got to know shit they shouldn't know too. You know, like, you know.
Oh yeah, like when I walk up, and I might like not be like get second thoughts, and then they just like they know what you're thinking. They're like, you're having second thoughts, seagull. I'm like, oh, it's real.
Yeah,
that's how you know, man.
Like, a lot of. Hello there, peaches.
Like, oh, shit. I'd run out of the room.
Ooh, I don't know about this. You get that chill, but then you feel, I mean, I don't know, you feel that urge around, but then you're like, well, that is legit, you know, I gotta suck me in, you know?
I mean, I would definitely know that there was something fucking real weird going on.
So, but, you know, sometimes it was a curse, right? You know, it wasn't always people that wanted to be werewolves. Sometimes there was the curse element still, just like in the tale of Zeus and Lycaon.
This is metal as fuck.
Yeah,
dude. This kid, he just grabbed a baby and he's running out in the woods with it.
Yeah, there's like a decapitated, I think it's a decapitated woman over there, and there's like some bodies around him. You know, he's just like, yeah, I got this baby. I'm leaving. Fuck y'all.
Now the baby's obviously the delicacy.
Yeah, he's just like, I'm not gonna eat some fucking adult. I can go eat this baby.
The tenderest beef is the veal, is it not?
That's right. He's gonna. So anyway, weirdly enough, many of the Catholic saints were said to have the power to turn their enemies into wolves. So this was like not just something reserved for black magic. There was also like the saints could do it because God. It was basically like God's divine judgment coming through them. You know, with the power of God, I turn you into a wolf. Apparently, it was seen as like a really negative thing in some circles to be turned into a wolf. Because like to me, being turned into a wolf is not that fucking bad. It does not seem like that terrible of a fucking fate. You know?
Doesn't it feel like it's like upgrading your enemy?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like, you're just a normal...
I'll take you soft, weak, pink human, and now, brah, wolf power. Like, what?
Maybe they just didn't use it very often. Maybe it was very specific, you know?
Yeah.
Type of punishment. Maybe if a person was just, like, really against wolves or some shit, you know?
You know what? You're going to be a fucking werewolf. What'd I do? You're a fucking werewolf now. You pissed me off.
So, also... It's weird because you can become a werewolf by making a deal with the devil, going to the devil and be like, make me a werewolf. Oh, okay, I'll do it if you do this. But I guess you can also become a werewolf if you piss off the devil.
Or piss off God.
What?
Right. If you incur the wrath of the devil, he will turn you into a wolf. Same with God. It's like a like black magic witches and warlocks are doing it. Saints are doing it. God's doing it. The devil's doing it. This whole like turning people into wolves thing was just super fucking popular.
Let me tell you what's going to happen to Paul, TJ. He said, he's like, you know what? I'm going witch doctor route. The devil's going to be like, Paul, I can turn you into a werewolf. And he'll be like, nah, the witch doctor's just fine. The devil's going to be like, you know what, Paul, you pissed me off. I was going to turn you into a fucking werewolf. Now you're a werewolf, bitch. See, Paul, you thought you could avoid it. You thought you could fucking avoid it.
Oh, well, I'm actually okay with it because I would rather have the devil. You were talking about like a bitch-made werewolf earlier. The reason I was acting like I fucking didn't go along with it is because that's the bitch-made werewolf, dude.
Oh, sure, yeah. You want to piss the devil off.
With a Catholic or God makes you a werewolf, that's how you end up looking like a fucking furry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh,
that's
God,
that. Yeah. Dude, if the devil wants to make me a werewolf, hey. You know, I'm all up for it.
All right.
Seems like a gift. Like, see, that's the thing is why are people going to the devil to be made it, but people afraid of God making them it?
Yeah. So,
seems strange.
Yeah, and I mean, like reading through all this shit, it kind of just occurs to me that we have a pretty fucking conflicted, sort of fraught relationship with the idea of the werewolf. You know. Because, like, sometimes it's a punishment, sometimes it's a good thing. He's like, I want to be a werewolf. Oh, you're cursed with being a werewolf. It's like, they can't really make up their mind. Like, is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing?
And a lot of modern films have made it where it's like being a werewolf is like sometimes you're just human, but then it's like, oh, I feel like being a werewolf to fight a vampire or do whatever. Like, so like they've almost made it like an optional thing.
Yeah, like, is it a power? Is it a curse? And honestly, that's more in line with like what werewolves historically have been perceived as. That whole like, I will turn myself into a wolf kind of thing. So is it a punishment? Is it liberation? Is it power? Is it curse? A lot of films have played around with those kind of themes and stuff. And the further we drift into, modernity and like the tameness of our times, I think there's like more and more of a connection of like, we're more conflicted with that sort of like primal, like animal roots kind of thing, And like you see that kind of played with like an American Werewolf in London and shit, and like some of these other movies, Ginger Snaps, I think did it really well.
That's my favorite werewolf movie, by the way.
It's really fucking good.
Only second, only maybe not second, but just like the only one that even comes close is Wolf. I love that movie too.
Is that Tom Waits as a werewolf?
Yeah, it's Tom Waits the werewolf. Tom Werewolf Waits.
He looks more normal like this than he does without makeup on.
That's true. So throughout most of werewolf history, a wolf was not typically thought of as a man, like a man wolf. Like there was that idea floating around here and there, but like by and large, when you talk about werewolves, it was a dude who turned into a wolf. It was not like he's a wolf man. He's a wolf. He is a man who turns into a wolf. That's the whole point of shape-shifting, just to become the other thing, right?
Yeah.
So there wasn't like this idea of like this like halfway there kind of thing. I mean, there was here and there, but like it wasn't the popular idea. But that kind of changed in like the 20th century. So it kind of got invented by and large by this movie right here. This is a 1935 film, Werewolf of London, not to be confused with An American Werewolf in London. But
I'm still seeing Tom Waits.
That's him. Yeah, that's the guy. I mean, he's not actually Tom Waits. There you go.
Okay.
It looks just like Tom Waits, dude.
It's not actually Tom Waits. It's not Tom Waits, Scotty. No, it's not Tom Waits. You might think it's Tom Waits, but it's not Tom Waits. This is a guy.
Tom Waits made a deal
this dude is actually named
devil.
Henry. This dude's named Henry Hull.
That was his previous name.
Oh, that was before he was reincarnated, or he's Renfield. So he's like a vampire. Maybe.
No, I'm not reincarnated. I mean, like he's just immortal. He just goes through the ages.
Oh.
I mean, pretty clear here.
So this movie, they wanted to make a movie about werewolves, but the budget. They didn't have CG at the time. Obviously, it's 1935. And if you try to get here's your options. If you're trying to make a werewolf movie, you can not show the wolf, which is really fucking lame. You can use a wolf puppet, which is going to look horrible. You can use a real wolf or a dog that looks like a wolf, and that's going to not really work out that great because it's a wolf. You can't really train it. A dog that looks like a wolf is still going to look like a dog. So basically, they're like, none of the ways we can do a wolf on film are really going to work that well for this fucking movie. So they're like, all right, we're just going to have to figure something else out. And what they figured out was just kind of make him half man, half wolf. Then we can just do some makeup and shit. We'll Cowardly Lion the shit. Right?
So it's like the necessity being the mother of invention. There's really no other practical way to have a spooky wolf in a movie, so they made a man wolf.
Yes. And so this movie is largely why this kind of invented the idea of the werewolf that's like half man, the wolf man kind of fucking trope.
So this invented furries, then, is what you're telling me.
I guess you could say that maybe. So they got the best makeup artist of the time, Jack Pierce, to create this wolf-human hybrid. And pretty good effect, I'd say, for 1935. They didn't have all the same techniques and technologies that we have today. But also, you might notice that he's not super wolf-like, and that's not actually because of limitations of the makeup. That is because the actor Henry Hull was kind of a little bitch. And, I guess it wasn't really typical back then for people to spend, hours in the makeup chair getting prosthetics and shit put on, and he really didn't have any patience for it, right? He's just kind of like, nah, I'm not doing that. I'll sit there for a little while. You put a fucking wig on me and some eyebrows, but I ain't going to fucking sit in this makeup chair all fucking day, okay? I got shit to do. And so, they wanted him for the movie, I guess, and they're like, all right, fine. So they did less makeup on him than they could have because of that. So this is kind of stripped down because this dude didn't want to sit on the makeup chair for too long. So he's maybe I don't know. He looks like he's probably 30% wolf, 20% wolf, something in that range. He's most of his flesh is still exposed. He's got some fake teeth in. Got some wild eyebrows, got a little bit of a wig, some fucking ears, and some gloves. And
I mean, I can see the beginnings of what we modern people look at when we see a werewolf. You know what I mean? The kind of combination of man and wolf, the pointed ears and the big hairy hands with the big giant nails on them and stuff. All that stuff is kind of kept going. It's just a lot of the features have gotten more exaggerated as people aren't tied to just doing makeup on a dude,
But Jack Pierce had another opportunity to do wolf makeup, and this time he got to do his full treatment because Lon Chaney was not nearly the little bitch that Henry Hull was.
Or maybe they just paid him better.
Yeah. So the idea of this silver bullet right here, this comes from the Wolfman, right? Which I thought I had a picture of the Wolfman here, but I guess I didn't pull it, but I'll pull it right now. But the silver bullet idea kind of comes from the Wolfman. So there's not with a lot of these ideas, it's not like they totally came from these movies, but it's this is the movie, prior to this, you find maybe a little mention of silver or something with werewolves. But this movie decided the silver bullet's how you kill the werewolf because they didn't make him unstoppable, but he has to have some kind of weakness so that they can kill him before the end of the movie, right? So they decide, okay, what's the MacGuffin? Silver bullet. That sounds cool. That sounds like something that might, kill a supernatural entity, right? So it wasn't super common before 1941, but after they made the Wolfman, it's kind of become a ubiquitous part of werewolf lore. The idea that, you got to have silver to kill the werewolf, right? Go ahead and pull up a picture of this dude in his, full wolf makeup here. Open image, new tab. There you go.
You know what's interesting? It actually says about that.
What?
That it's actually oh, you're about. Okay, you're still talking about it. Never mind.
What? What are you saying?
Are you done talking about the movie?
No, I have a little. I guess I have a little bit more, but basically, the only thing I was gonna say about this movie is that Frank Pierce, who did the makeup for the previous movie, Werewolf of London, and this movie, he basically, Lon Chaney Jr. was not really like, he was willing to sit in the makeup chair as long as it took. Like he was like kind of notorious for taking these roles and doing these parts. So this was kind of like the makeup. You could have gotten this makeup in 1935, and probably Werewolf of London would have been a bigger hit because this makeup was like very like revolutionary at the time, like, to totally transform someone like this. I mean, it's not like totally unheard of. Obviously, like, Wizard of Oz and other stuff came out around the same time. But this is like top tier fucking special effects of the age. Like this is like a special effects movie for 1941, right? So like if this had hit in 1935, then Werewolf of London might be the archetype for what formed everything we think of as a werewolf. But as it stands, this movie pretty much is that. Like, the Wolfman pretty much lays the foundation for all the werewolf fucking tropes we think of. The silver bullet, the Wolfman fucking thing, the full moon being what's in control, the wolf bite being the way that the wolf.
I know you're saying silver bullet, but it says he puts him out of his misery by bludgeoning over the head with his own silver-headed cane.
Well, they do the whole silver thing, like silver in general being like, this is what kills the wolf.
Oh, dude, that's
not necessarily a bullet, just the association with how you kill a werewolf being silver.
Yeah, so and you see that almost every werewolf or horror movie involving werewolves.
Right. So
there's also that strange belief that people that take colloidal silver, and that's been going on forever, that it purifies the blood or whatever. That might be
maybe it could tie down. It could tie back to this too.
Paul, that keeps you real safe. Real nice colloidal silver toothpaste, Paul. Best way to do it.
But like. So as far as like the full moon goes, I think that pretty much, it's a little harder to pin down because there is some ties to it in the literature. Like we talked about how, in France and Italy and Germany, they had that weird thing where like if the light of the full moon hits your face all night, you'll become the wolf and shit. So obviously the moon thing was kind of lingering around there, but it wasn't like a ubiquitous element until the Wolfman. And, like all these, like a lot of these fucking modern tropes about the werewolf kind of come from this movie in 1941. So even though the werewolf is a creature that, we've thought of mythologically for like 4,000 years, most of our modern ideas about it come from this fucking movie in 1941. Because most of that shit is kind of just stuck around. And it's funny because, you watch it in the movies like, oh, the ancient wisdom of like, the werewolf can only be killed by silver. It's like, that's from like 1941, dude.
Yeah. It's like 2 movies ago, man.
Yeah. So, I have here a list of some of the big werewolf movies that have. This is actually, I think, the 10 best reviewed werewolf movies. And you notice that even in a top 10 list of the best reviewed werewolf movies, most of them are not, like, a lot of them are not even fresh. So, like, there hasn't necessarily been a lot of critically acclaimed forays into the werewolf genre,
Well, that's true broadly of horror movies in general,
right? Because horror kind of is like judged by like a different and less fair standard, I think, than other film genres.
It's dismissed snobbishly by most of the mainstream movie critic press. Like, in order to find a real genuine horror buff that is willing to kind of go along with the genre, you have to go to like, people online or people on fucking alternate websites and shit, because it's just like, still to this day, horror movies, even though some of the best movies that have come out recently have been movies with a horror tinge, are still looked down their nose at. So I that's why I'm not really fucking like, I don't think I'm going to agree with a lot of these Rotten Tomatoes scores, but we'll see.
Teen Wolf, 1985.
Get the fuck out. See what I mean?
44%.
This is like, Teen Wolf is okay, but it's a goofy fucking movie. It's not meant to be like a serious portrayal of a fucking werewolf. Get out.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like a fun comedy, right? My favorite scene is when he's in the bathroom and he's changed to a wolf, and like he's like, his father's like knocking at the door, and she's like, "Oh my god, I don't want to be discovered," and shit. Then he opens the door, and his father's a fucking wolf too. It's like, I didn't think it happened to you too, son, or whatever, no fucking shit.
Yeah, that's at the end. It's kind of sad. Like he spends the whole movie really struggling with it, and then finds out at the very end is the twist that his whole family is a bunch of werewolves or whatever.
But it turns out he's really good at basketball as a werewolf, so it all works out.
Yeah.
Which is, once again, the message of it, kind of the same fucked up message of like Rudolph and shit, is that it's okay to be an outsider as long as there's some utility to you.
Right.
Well, yeah.
As long as you can do something that all of the people that are cool finds interesting or cool, then you can be different looking or different acting or different sounding.
But if you don't have that going for you, you're pretty much freak, die freak.
Yep.
Silver Bullet also sitting at 44%. I can't really disagree with this, but I kind of love this movie anyway. Gary Busey's hilarious in it. The terrible acting is usually pretty funny.
I thought these were the best reviewed.
These are
the worst.
No, these are the best reviewed ones. So like rounding out the list is literally we're down in the 40s. So
yeah.
So like I said, there's not a lot of fucking critically acclaimed werewolf movies. So this is like
Silver Bullet is really kind of lame though, isn't it?
I mean, it's pretty lame, but it's kind of fun. I don't know. It's like
it's fun.
It's like a fun lame movie. If you watch it with some friends and like had a laugh at it.
I mean, it's sitting at 44%. That's a pretty low score.
Yeah, it feels like it's like a film that had real budget problems.
Yeah, the werewolf, I have to say, like here he doesn't look super bad, but like when you see this motherfucker in motion, it looks like a very cheesy costume. Especially when you fucking really look at American Werewolf in London, which was like a few years before. Like you just compare that wolf and that transformation and the special effects in that movie to the special effects in this movie, and it's like, wow, this movie is not up to the fucking standards of its like predecessors.
It looks like a bear. Yeah, it's because they have to make the head too fat to put a human head in there because it's still a dude running around in a fucking lame suit.
Yeah, it's just like a furry costume basically. Like this dude could just go to a furry convention a day and get his dick sucked or whatever.
And there's really no excuse for it either because like Ginger Snaps has a really small budget. That was a Canadian movie, had a really and like not a lot of, but they managed to spend some of that budget on some practical like puppet effects and shit.
Yeah,
and sparingly kind of show the transition so that carries the whole movie. So
I've actually not seen this one, but this is a Curse of the Werewolf from 1961.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah, I can't evaluate this one.
So
yeah, they basically just said it's like kind of like the 1960s take on the Wolfman. They were just like they wanted to remake the Wolfman. They didn't call it the Wolfman, but it's basically a Wolfman remake in 1960s.
Well, we all like growing up, we all know what that is, dude. We got the fucking
yeah, we got the
Wolfman reboot.
Was it Antonio Banderas or Benicio del Toro or somebody? I can't remember.
Benicio del Toro, yeah.
I've only seen one scene from that movie. The scene I saw didn't really look too bad, but like my understanding is the movie overall is not great. So The Howling, 1981, from it's sitting at 70%. So this is like the first one I think that's actually fresh here.
Yeah.
The sequels to The Howling are pretty terrible. The original Howling is pretty fine. I mean, it's got some great special effects for 1981.
It's got that cheesy 80s charm about it. You know what I mean? It's dripping in that. And if you like that, it's a good movie, but it definitely didn't need like fucking 14 different sequels and
right
shit.
And it's the only one that's good. So I mean, like I guess you can watch the follow-ups if you're just really super into werewolves, but like it's the only one that you could really make a case for as like being a good movie. It has kind of a sense of humor. It's directed by the same dude that directed Gremlins, as you can kind of see down here, Joe Dante.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool.
Yeah, you can kind of see the vibe is not exactly the same, but you can definitely kind of feel like some similarities in it.
Well, I'll tell you what that guy knows now, knowing that he directed both of these, because the puppetry / kind of like stuff that they do with the werewolf and the Howling is what makes it so good. So I think he really knew how to shoot like animatronics and puppets and shit.
Because it got Rick Baker, and he's very famous in the special effects, especially practical effects.
Yeah. That's why I love 80s movies, because there was this real leap forward in animatronics. And dude, even when you go back, almost all of them look so sweet in comparison to like what is just like a shitty bang up CGI job. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So another 1981 werewolf movie. I guess it was just like a really popular year for werewolves. Wolfen.
I've seen Wolfen. I don't like Wolfen all that much. I don't know. I just.
Yeah, it's more of like a police procedural kind of movie, detective procedural. It's like they're invested, like it's a cop on the trail of a werewolf, right? So like, I don't know.
Him figuring out that it's not a
really,
person he's chasing, but a werewolf.
I'm not really fucking super into like cop movies because I hate cops, but
well, if you hate cops, there's a lot of cop movies that also seem to hate them as well. You might want to check out a few of them.
Yeah.
There's not a lot. I mean, there are some cop movies that are about hero cops, but there's a lot of like cops are shitty movies.
Yeah. I forget which one this is. I know I've seen it though. Dog Soldiers from 2002. I've actually never seen this movie. So I don't know.
Somebody recommended me this movie, and I said that I watched the trailer for it and thought like, oh, that looks really good, and then just fucking completely forgot about it. So
yeah, I mean, apparently this is a pretty good flick. I mean, basically some British soldiers doing a routine training exercise in the Scottish Highlands who find themselves fighting against several big ass fucking werewolves here. So it's like soldiers versus werewolves, I guess. Kind of like, seems pretty cool. I mean, like just seeing this wolf in this setting with this guy here with the guns trained on him seems pretty dope. So Company of Wolves, weird fucking movie. But what I realized when I was like reading into werewolves is actually this movie is kind of more true to like werewolf mythology than any of the movies that have come since or before even.
Yeah, I've never seen this one.
The Wolfman kind of like shaped what a werewolf was. This movie is really more about like almost like revisiting like the classical, Middle Ages ideas of werewolves.
Like actually turning people into full wolves or whatever.
Yeah, and it really wasn't there wasn't any like there wasn't like the full moon or the silver bullet or any of the cliches. It was way more tied to like you became a wolf in this movie because you just kind of like had like wolf inside you. You're just sort of like you have this like animalistic side that just gives in and you become a wolf. And there was like really no coherent narrative. It's like very art film kind of shit. Angela Lansbury's in it distractingly and weirdly. And it's like basically the whole movie is like a dream and it's shown to you as a dream. Like, you see like the movie starts with the main character falling asleep and starting to dream, and then you're in her dream and it's all about wolves and this weird place, and it has a dream plot, so there's no actual structure to it.
Sounds like it's right up my alley, so maybe I'll check this one out.
Yeah, I mean, I hate David Lynch movies, which you're always saying operate on dream logic. This movie operates on dream logic, and I love it.
What David Lynch movies have you even seen to say that you hate them?
I don't know. The ones I tried to watch the one with Nicolas Cage. That was awful. Try to watch Lost Highway or whatever the fuck. That sucked. I don't know. What else have I seen?
I haven't seen Mulholland
Drive.
Drive.
Dune, TJ, your favorite.
Oh, fuck Dune, man. I hate that shit. So another 1981 werewolf movie, just the year of the werewolf. John Landis makes American Werewolf in London, which is probably like, I don't know, like really set the benchmark in a lot of ways for the werewolf movie, I think.
So far,
really
it's
not
like
sure.
It's the definitive transformation into a werewolf in movies still to this day.
Sure, and I think it like kind of defines like how you like do like the conflict of being a werewolf and shit too. I think Wolf, which I don't even see on this list, kind of like borrows a lot from this movie and maybe even improves on some of the tropes. Unfortunately suffers from terrible fucking special effects in comparison.
Yeah, there's a number of movies that I would bump off of this list in favor of putting Wolf there.
Yeah. Wolf's a really good movie.
I know that people don't like Wolf because it's not the typical like werewolf killing people kind of slasher flick thing. But dude, I love that movie, dude. That movie is shot so well and acted like only fucking Nicholson could have pulled off that fucking role. There's some classic fucking scenes.
I love when he pees on the dude's shoes.
Yeah, he pisses on the dude's shoes. I love when he confronts fucking the guy that's backstabbed him in his office or whatever the fuck, and he just like the guy's like, what can I do to make it up for you? And he just looks at him, he's like, I'm gonna fucking get you, dude. He smiles at him and just like, I'm gonna fucking get you.
I love that shit. That's great. Yeah, I mean, Jack Nicholson's great in that movie, and I feel like it definitely has it should probably be at least like around this
I know
it's,
I'll be honest with you. Most of the movies on this list, because I've never been really super big into werewolves. Like this is probably really the one I'm most intimately involved with so far is An American Werewolf in London. That's because it's like the biggest werewolf movie.
Right, and I mean, like I said,
let's go back to the Wolfman or something.
I mean, we had a big disagreement about this at one point earlier on in the show's life cycle. I remember because I said something like American Werewolf in London, great werewolf transformation scene, but ultimately as a movie, it's kind of slow and boring.
It is,
and it's like not my favorite werewolf movie by a country mile. It wouldn't be in my top 5. That doesn't mean it's bad.
I feel
it
like
still is the definitive transformation scene. They haven't done it better yet.
I feel like there's other things it really brings to it, but I will say that the movie is kind of slow to get started. Like, it really does kind of feel like the first, 20, 25 minutes of that movie are really kind of drag for me. Now, maybe they're establishing character and atmosphere for other people, but for me, they kind of just drag a little bit, and the movie really doesn't get started until he starts turning into a fucking werewolf, and then the entire tone of the movie starts to change. Like, I don't know, his friend is a ghost or a figment of his imagination or something is going on there. And,
he has a Pascal that comes and helps him or whatever. He's got like a dead friend that comes back and guides him and shit. It definitely takes a hard fantasy turn, and I like that. I just don't like waiting to get to it. It's like another example of a movie that does that is From Dusk Till Dawn, but I still love watching all of that movie.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I feel like the payoff it works, and the beginning of the movie does not totally suck or anything. It's just kind of slow.
Agreed. It's just not my favorite
until they drop the whole vampire bomb.
Vampire? What are you talking about?
He's still talking about Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, okay, sorry. I was talking about this one by then, but
no.
Yes.
No.
So Ginger Snaps. Movie kind of came out of nowhere. I think a lot of people are still asleep on this fucking movie.
Oh yeah. When I mention this movie anywhere on my social media or whatever, there's always a bunch of people that have never heard of it.
Which is really weird.
Kind of makes me sad.
And it's I guess it was really, it's pretty low budget, and it's not really I don't know. I mean,
it's an early 2000s movie, man. It was probably a directive.
I don't even know if it was theatrically released, to be honest with you.
I think it might have gotten one in a few places, but it was not wide. It didn't get a wide release, and it was like a straight to video thing. So it was a video rental person's movie.
Right.
It's one of those movies that you saw a bunch of times when you went to the video store and you were like, okay, I'll try this one out. What the fuck is this? You know what I mean? I really think that if you lived in that era where you were sorting through that pile of things, you're way more likely to have seen this movie. And I think that this movie would be really appreciated by a lot of people. It's got a lot of messaging about topics that come up, rape and the difference between being a woman and a man and yada yada yada, and just all kind of drug use and all that shit, sexuality. It's all kind of wrapped up. Even the name is amazing about Ginger Snaps, because it's what do they call that? Something that could be read two ways.
Right. Yeah, because it's it's just it's a pun, really.
Right. It's Ginger Snaps are like a cookie.
I feel, and also the main character is Ginger, and she snaps. Becomes a werewolf. So,
well, the budget of the movie says it's $4.5 million. It was never released through theatrical release. It was a DVD release. Apparently, Trimark helped. This movie got financed by the Canadian government, and also Trimark Pictures.
Yeah,
agreed to be the distributor, and I guess they got issues financing the film. So it took actually a while. So it took 2 years to actually get ready to even find someone to finance the movie. But I think one of those rare stories where the low budget movie just somehow breaks out of obscurity and becomes a cult classic, because really that's what the case is here.
I feel like the title too, even though it is, I kind of like it for the same reasons Paul does, but like I feel like it might have kind of hurt the movie commercially because it doesn't necessarily sound at all like a werewolf movie.
Yeah, if they would have called it Ginger Turns Into a Werewolf or whatever.
Not as clever a title, but maybe like might have sold more tickets. I don't know.
But I mean, it was pretty apparent from the fucking like,
right? You see the fucking cover of the movie. I think they had the wolf, right on there. So.
Well, yeah. It happens really early on in the film too. It's not like one of those movies that drags out what's going on. She's attacked by a fucking werewolf like in the first 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it's you pretty much spend enough time with the characters to like know who they are, and then as soon as you figure it out, like, oh, that's who they are, and that's what they're about, then the wolf comes, and it's like, all right.
It's one of those movies that's as deep as you want it to be too, because it's really like when you watch. I've watched it a bunch of times. I didn't realize this at first when watching it, but as you get deeper into a movie, it's a movie about like puberty, basically. Like Ginger's like whole journey is punctuated by kind of normal stuff that happen to kids as they go through puberty and shit. She all of a sudden is not, and her sister's behind her. Her sister hasn't gone through puberty yet, and so she's still interested in childish things, and Ginger is dating and going to parties and blah, 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 blah. It's really about the struggle between those two sisters being broken up by biology.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
And then you throw a werewolf in it.
And then, with a werewolf in it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just deals with a lot of fucking issues like that. And like the characters are really well written, and the movie just like, I don't know, it's like it's like one of those movies that's like pretty consistently entertaining throughout the entire movie. Like there's never a part where it's like, God damn, it's good except for that fucking really shitty part. And like, this is a movie that I actually kind of watched, and it kind of came out of left field. Like I came to this movie not having heard any hype about it or anything, right? I was literally like one of those things where like, oh, this looks all right, I guess. Picked it up off the fucking shelf and, popped it in, had no idea what the fuck it's really about or anything, and just like watched it. And afterwards I was like, holy shit, that was like maybe the best werewolf movie I've ever fucking seen. And, I'm glad it's kind of like got some recognition because I do hear people talk about it, but man, I still feel like there's a lot of people that have slept on this fucking flick.
Pound for pound, for me, it's just like the best paced movie on the list so far. It's just like probably the most fun movie to watch on this list. I can see why The Wolfman is number one.
Yeah, I mean, it's it's like
you got to bow down to the OG. It's like this portrayal
this
of
set
the
the
werewolf.
bar for a lot of shit, established a lot of the tropes and stuff. And I mean, like, revolutionary film at the time for its special effects and stuff. I mean, you can just see, like, this whole little shot we're looking at here just kind of drips with atmosphere. Now, I think it kind of suffers from the fact that the Wolfman, I think, by today's standards, looks kind of silly. But, I
wouldn't say silly. I would just say, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know how to put it. I kind of have a lens through which I watch these old movies. I realize how foundational they were, and I can imagine to an audience that had never seen anything like this, especially up close. Like, there was theater where people would put on makeup to look like werewolves, I'm assuming, prior to this. But you're seeing that from the distance of a safe, clip away in the audience. And there's a lot of like close-ups of his face. And those, I think, were probably the scariest thing about these. In fact, the big reveal of his face, right, against the moonlight or whatever is like one of the first jump scares of all time. Or like one of probably the biggest and earliest jump scares.
And I mean, we watched, especially with her Patreon, we did a bunch of classic films that were not copyrighted because they didn't want to deal with that shit. And you can really see, even going back to the 40s, like a movie like this is just a cut above. Like quality then might be a little different than quality now, but you can just see the qualitative difference when you just watch the movie. Anywhere from the characters, the composition, and just being iconic enough where it's like when people think of a horror movie, like especially in this, like because werewolves are fairly popular. I mean, that's popular as vampires, but when you look at the werewolf, I mean, this really set the fucking tone for it for the last 70 years.
I mean, they're probably not as culturally popular as some of the other ones, but like the werewolf lives in that same fucking like what they call a Silver Age monster pantheon with Dracula and Frankenstein's monster and the Mummy. These are really like foundational horror archetypes that have been endlessly re-explored. I mean, you could make a lot of fucking, like, take Freddy Krueger, for instance.
Yeah.
This is something you can think about, right? Freddy Krueger is a direct outcropping of the Wolfman, right? Because the Wolfman isn't just the Wolfman. He represents man giving himself over to his more bestial side, losing control, doing things that you shouldn't do, murdering, killing. I mean, he has this very like overt wolf imagery with this hand that's ends in these claws. He has a very lupine way of like walking and moving, as does his inspiration for that, Clint Eastwood. There's a lot of like, wolf imagery baked into that character. You know what I mean? And it wouldn't have existed without this Lon Chaney performance. He set the bar.
Oh yeah, I mean,
invented it.
I mean, I think if you read that the Stephen King book Danse Macabre, he kind of talks about how like really there's only like 3 or 4 different kinds of monsters. I don't remember the exact categories, but like he basically makes a case that like every monster you've ever seen falls into like one of like I think 3 or 4 categories. Like, and I know one was like the vampire.
He was like, it's like the vampire, the wolfman, the zombie, and the alien. I think that was it.
Something like that. I don't know.
I'd have to look into it.
It was like, I know there was something that's like, okay, yeah. I mean, like you basically like, well, this creature does this. It might not be overtly called a vampire, but you see that it kind of feeds on life force like a vampire. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, it's sucking your life force, or it wants to eat you, or it wants to, I don't know, it wants you to suffer, maybe like a demon or something. It wants to trick you. I don't know. There's like, he basically breaks them down and fits everything into like some neat little categories. And like, yeah, I would say like, you got like a wolfman creature, the transformations, the thing that's kind of an important part of that, I guess. A man who has become some other thing that's a monster that has to, prey on what it formerly was, with this like sort of like deep conflicted, nature about it. Now, Freddy's not too conflicted, but
No, not at all.
But yeah, I mean, that's pretty much what I got for werewolves. I feel like you could definitely do like the cool thing about these like werewolves and vampires and shit like that, or zombies or any of these creatures is like, they kind of like get big. There's like a big push, like whoa, holy shit, wolves, and then they kind of fade away. Oh, that's passe, whatever. And then something happens where they're brought back in a big way. There's like a very cyclical nature of the fascination with stuff like this. And I feel like we might be primed sometime in the not too distant future for a little bit of a werewolf resurgence. It just takes the right fucking concept to make it happen. So is someone out there fucking cooking that up right now? Maybe. Who fucking knows? I haven't heard about any. I haven't heard any rumblings of any big werewolf project on the horizon or anything.
Dude, you just hit the big hit. As well as I do. It's like The Walking Dead, and it was like everything was zombies for a while because it was like, oh my god, everyone loves zombies. And zombies fall out of fashion. It'll be vampires. It'll be some other shit. It's cyclical. It's always gonna come back around. And I'll tell you what, though, I'm sorry to say, TJ, Nicolas Cage playing Dracula, it might be vampires before it's gonna be werewolves. Though.
That's true. Maybe Nicolas Cage is gonna fucking speak. He's right there, by the way. See him right there. Yeah, maybe Nicolas Cage is gonna fucking bring back Dracula, but then hey, after fucking vampires, werewolves can't be far behind. And sometimes they hit around the same time because they're kind of like becoming more and more tied together in the public consciousness. I feel like with like Underworld and Twilight, unfortunately. But anyway,
I fear that like the horrible failure of the DC Dark Universe or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I think that might have maybe set us back a few years on a werewolf reboot movie, but maybe I'm wrong.
Well, here's the thing about the Dark Universe. The first Dark Universe movie,
is it DC or am I misattributing?
It's not it's not DC. It's Universal. It's Universal, but
Universal. Okay, yeah, my bad.
But the Dark Universe movies, people think there was only the Mummy one with Tom Cruise, but there was actually one before that no one knows is part of that, and there's one after that no one knows is part of that.
Yeah, I don't know which ones they are too.
The first one, hold on, let me fucking make sure I'm getting this right. So the first movie in the Dark Universe was it wasn't actually like specifically like thought of as part of it, I guess. Like it wasn't officially part of it, but it kind of kicked the whole thing off. It was that Dracula Untold. You remember that piece of shit?
Serious?
Yeah.
Oh, terrible fucking movie.
Dracula Untold.
I didn't know that was supposed to be part of.
I guess it's not officially, but it kind of like prompted the whole thing, and it probably would have been folded right into it if the Dark Universe had been successful. But so the Mummy was a huge flop, and it kind of killed the Dark Universe single-handedly. But another movie that was released as a Dark Universe movie, but they kind of like made sure it was real hush-hush, was The Invisible Man, which was actually a hit. But they didn't brand Dark Universe all over it because they were kind of like embarrassed by the whole Dark Universe thing at that point. So like, no, fuck that. But then they had a hit, so it's like almost like maybe they should have branded it Dark Universe because they could have maybe pulled themselves out of that nosedive. But yeah, I mean, there's like, do not try to fucking create a cinematic universe out the fucking gate. It's just a stupid idea. Like, if it's gonna happen, it'll happen organically. You don't need to fucking make it happen.
You gotta start with a hit. You have to come out the gate with a fucking banger that everybody wants followed up on. And you got to do it like Marvel did it. Remember, they didn't like explode and just start the Avengers from scratch. They did Iron Man. They did fucking the Hulk. They did this. They started dropping these singular movies and brought them all together. That's how you make a universe. You have to introduce people to the individual characters, give them their own little set of interests, and then collide all those people into one fandom with one big kind of crossover movie. Yeah. That's how you do it.
You can't just be like, that's what they were trying check it out, guys. Right? We're doing a new cinematic universe. Here's the Mummy. And it's like, this sucks. Oh, never mind.
By the way, I found those 3 archetypes that Stephen King lays out in Danse Macabre. Maybe we can try and, like, here at the end, brainstorm and see if we can think of any monsters that don't fit the 3
good idea.
archetype.
All right.
So I'll read them to you guys. First one is the werewolf.
Okay.
Not just literally, but the concept of chaos and evil hiding inside or behind an ordered, kindly exterior, Jekyll and Hyde, blah, 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 blah. We understand that.
Okay.
The vampire. This would also include zombies and anything else that feeds literally or not on another person, essentially parasites. Right. And the thing, which is a rampaging alien monster, Tolkien's orcs, the thing,
right.
Lovecraftian monsters, dragons.
So anything that's kind of like from some other realm or place that has, this monstrous power, but it's sort of like an alien to you, whether it's like a space alien or just like a creature from a distant land or whatever the fuck.
Right. So those are the 3 different king archetypes: the werewolf, the vampire, and the thing.
Okay.
So I'm
think
trying
of
to
a monster that doesn't fit in one of those categories.
Right.
Okay.
Last category is so fucking broad, though.
Yeah,
that
it's
makes
kind of hard
because
it is talking about a very specific kind of horror, though. Horror that doesn't come from like immediate threat, but just revulsion at the very appearance of something and how non-human it is.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of tough, though.
And that encompasses that. Yeah, that's the alien from Aliens. That's fucking,
The thing is a werewolf. I think Stephen King actually says sometimes they can overlap, but everything.
Sure. Yeah. Why wouldn't they be able? What he's saying is that every horror archetype is either directly related to one of these categories or a blending of 1 or 2 or 3 of them. Like, there's nothing outside. He's like laying out the hero's journey, basically saying like every story that conforms to the hero's journey archetype follows these basic points and hits about 10 of them or whatever. It's his call on like how to categorize the different villains. And
if you were going to try to create the way to figure this out maybe is to like try to create a monster on our own that doesn't fit the criteria, right?
The only one that doesn't fit the criteria to me is the idea of another human being being the object of horror, not like a supernatural.
Right, but it's not really like they're not really a monster at that point, though. Like in the sense, I mean, like they get called monsters, but it's more like like an insult almost, like you're a monster.
What about the guy? What about Warlock? Where does he fall on this?
Okay, let me think. Warlock. I mean, yeah, he is super. I mean, I guess maybe with the thing because he kind of has the pact with like the other world. He has he's like representing like hell and the demons and shit.
He specifically says whose horror derives from how unlike humanity they are.
Okay, so he's definitely very human, right?
He is a human. He's just a human that made a pact with the devil and now is killing people.
I guess the question is, does he count as a monster? Like, because you don't necessarily think of like a warlock as a monster, but
he's able to shapeshift, he's able to fly, he kills people, he steals their fucking souls and shit.
I guess at that point you'd have to say, a werewolf because he's transforming.
He made
into
a pact with the devil, and the devil made him a monster that appears human.
Right. So I guess I guess he would fit in the werewolf trope then, right?
Very loosely, though.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's not like really a perfect fit, but I mean, like, I don't really know that I would call. I mean, like, you would never think of him as like a movie monster. You'd be like, list movie monsters. I don't know if you would ever be like the Warlock. You know what I mean?
You know what? He does fit this. I was reading that over again. He said the evil hiding behind an ordered, kindly exterior.
Right, and
he
that's
does
the
that.
Warlock, right? I mean,
Right.
like, he's totally doing that.
There's
shit.
that scene where he like walks up to the little girl and he's like, she just asks him questions because she doesn't know he's a weirdo, and he's totally nice to her, but then goes on to murder a bunch of her family or some shit.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that there's definitely some of that going on.
So yeah, you're probably right. He's a werewolf. They don't fit neatly, I don't think, into a package. Not every monster does, but I really do think that this pretty much covers.
I think it's way. I mean, because like I'm trying to think of like even a monster I could create that wouldn't fit, and like
it's like demons. Demons are obviously the thing, right? They come from beyond the grave.
Right.
They could be the thing and a werewolf because they take possession of a human
and they could be a
being.
vampire too because they might want to fucking eat your soul or whatever the fuck too. So
Right.
like they're kind of like which makes sense for a demon to be a juxtaposition of every kind of monster.
Well, the reason
right?
why though is there's only so many basic human fears that you're really gonna be able to play upon. They're gonna be effective. So it's
Darth
like,
Vader, definitely a werewolf. The ordered exterior, you know, like because he looks very like regimented and shit, but like you know. He's fucked up.
Remember how flippantly fucking what's his name is talking about him before he gets choked. You know what I mean? He's like, he thinks that Darth Vader is about self-control and ultimate like tolerance and shit, and he finds out very quickly that he isn't that day.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, just strangles you. You know, like. But he's supposed to be like your commander, and he's supposed to be like this representative of order in the galaxy, right? That's the whole thing.
I love when he does that.
Like, we're here to bring order to the fucking chaos of, you know, the universe.
I love when he does that, and he says that fucking classic line, "Don't choke on your aspirations, Admiral."
You know, like, in fairness to that shitty line, Darth Vader does drop some like punny shit in Empire Strikes Back. It just plays better for whatever reason. I think it's just better lines.
I think it's because like right after that, you pull back from his like horribly conceived lava fortress or whatever the fuck.
Where it looks like he's like a He-Man villain all of a sudden. It's like, what the fuck is going on?
He just becomes Skeletor all of a sudden.
Also, I feel like that dude didn't like. I mean, it's weird because in the fucking scene at the end of the movie, he does, but in the fucking beginning of that movie, like the first time you see him, he like moves so weird, and you just immediately feel like that's not Darth Vader. It just feels wrong. It feels like cosplay.
That's because we've been ingrained with a certain version of it, so it's like we have nostalgia for it. Then it's like, here's some new shit. It's like, oh no, I mean, at best, it's a poor imitation of what came before it. You know what I mean?
He's always in control, though. Werewolf isn't. No, he's not. He's totally at the mercy of his... like, the whole reason he became Darth Vader is because he was emotionally compromised.
Have you seen... Yeah, remember the end of Return of the Jedi?
Remember the whole fucking...
What do I do?
He's like...
What do I do?
Yeah, he's like a fucking totally conflicted... What? I sense the conflict within you, Father. There is no conflict. You know, yes, there is. What?
I have to disagree with that.
No, you're wrong. You're wrong. Wrong. Palpatine is more like the thing
in control.
He's I mean, he might be like a combination of the werewolf and the thing, because like when he, you know, you don't really know where he comes from, and then you know, by the time he gets his weird face thing, you know,
where does a ghost fit into this?
A ghost, yeah, you know, that might be the thing. Well, I guess they're like from the other world or whatever.
Yeah, the other dimension.
So they're kind of fit into the thing category, but
humanity though.
Yeah,
they're not,
like.
It's not they're a remnant of humanity, but when they die,
ghost might not even necessarily be trying to hurt you. You know, like a ghost could just be like you know, it could be scary, but you know, it's like just because it's, you know, playing the piano in your house at 3 a.m. or something.
Well, we see that in some movie, like that movie The Others. I love that movie, by the way. It's based on that premise, basically, like the kind of non-scary ghost, but presented in a way that nobody knows whether it's, you know, out to get
malevolent
them
or
Wait,
yeah, it just doesn't.
Jiggeroth, did you just say I just want to know how Palpatine got laid? You want to know how the Emperor of the fucking galaxy managed to get some pussy?
It must have been difficult.
I can demonstrate it.
Yeah, that's about it.
There you go.
Like what?
How did the Emperor actually get some? That's just like, did you want to see? What you're saying?
I think it might be
Emperor banging some.
There might be a clue in the name, Emperor I think it might have been because they like the name Palpatine.
How did his shriveled dick work? I mean, enough to birth
the power of the dark side, dude.
I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, like his dick works, dude. Like, why wouldn't his dick work? Like, he can literally shoot. You think he can shoot lightning out of his hands, but he can't make his dick hard? Like, what?
I'm sorry, this doesn't normally happen. You know what I mean? Come on.
Probably just electrocute the girl at that point.
No one can know of this.
You'll tell no one.
It's really nice to be able to just be myself with someone.
I know, Emperor. I know. Honey, you can just cuddle up here and tell me all about it.
Oh, it's so hard maintaining an exterior of constant domination.
Oh, baby, just let it go.
I love you, Shantique.
Please, God, yes. Oh, please show me this. Oh, yeah, that's fucking... Was it good for you too, baby? Palpatine fucking is the funniest shit ever, bro.
It really is. He's all like,
oh, no.
By the end of it, he gets insecure and he kills it.
Are you laughing at me? No, baby. I was saying it was good for us. But die, bitch. Oh, damn.
I did it again. Fuck. Every time I let someone in, I kill them.
I'm my own worst enemy.
Oh. Anyway, that's Werewolves. Hope you guys enjoyed. Yeah, I guess there's really not probably too much more that could be said about it. So there's really not much chance of a sequel. But I guess we could do one like, I don't know, goblins or something. Fuck.
You could,
gotta be some other monsters out there in the world.
Next time you see a full moon, Cheetah's giving you some advice too. You want to become a werewolf?
Oh yeah, just remember the methods.
We did goblins, remember?
Did we? Anyway,
so we did the wee folk.
Oh yeah, but we didn't do an episode all about goblins.
All about goblins.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. And guys, if you want to tell me how you would transform into a werewolf down below. Don't have to use the methods I outlined here. You can make your own shit up. Be interesting to fucking see what you guys cook up in terms of how a werewolf transformation might go. Thanks for watching. See you guys. I think we're doing one more of these public next week. So, yeah, we'll see you guys next week for another live Friday episode of Deep Fat Fried. Stay hungry like the wolf, my friends.